Dawson Rider review.
Hey YouTube, Dawson Rider here. Welcome to my review for the Lightning Collection SPD Omegranger and Uniforce Cycle Special Set. This is an Amazon exclusive and the first of its kind, as it's the first Lightning Collection figure to be bundled with a bike and not just by himself or herself or with another random ranger or whatever. It's a first bike set. It's kind of an interesting choice. Just to real quickly highlight, I really do love the Lightning Collection art and the box and all that stuff, and I really like the one on this, and I wanted to highlight it because A, the box looks really cool, so if you want to have this like on display somewhere, or you just have trouble putting away boxes, and it doesn't look too bad just sitting out there. However, I did want to complain about, I wish that wasn't there, because, you know, on the back, they have the picture of what it looks like. We're going to get it there, and then they have the mini photo there again. This here is just overkill, and it ruins the vibe of him on his own right here, and that's just a travesty, so this figure's trash. I'm just kidding, but that really bothered me, and I had to highlight it. So now, as far as accessories, he comes with the whole bike, which obviously is a thing, but he only comes with two sets of hands. The ones that are on him right now, which look like holding weapon trigger hands, but they're really holding the bike hands, and then you got two open hands, and one of them special. This one's just a regular open hand, and then this is your trying to catch Chewie's transport and accidentally exploding him hand. So he has a lightning hand like the Psycho's, because his weapon, you know, it goes on this side. His weapon is his morpher, which is kind of cool. And then you do have this little one of those containment cards from SPD, and it just honestly looks like a white card. And like, this is one of those accessories I'm like, oh, that's neat, but also, what am I gonna do with this? So I don't really know. So let's talk about the figure itself, because that's the main event, and I'm overall very happy with this figure, and very relieved I didn't have too many paint mistakes, as this is one of my favorite suits of all time, so I was really looking forward to it. I was a little bit worried about it after seeing some people's QC issues, and also some of the press photos had him looking really awkward, and he still has some slight awkward bits. Like, I think he has one of the more noticeable little like shoulder divots here where you can just see the toyness of it, to use a really high caliber word, the toyness. But some of them just hide it better, and this one you can certainly tell the most, but it's not as bad as I thought. I think the head sculpt is pretty well done. It's not perfect, but overall I'm happy with it. It's pretty close to being accurate, certainly the most accurate head sculpt we've gotten for figures, as you'll see when I do a comparison. The white looks really good, it contrasts nicely off the blue. Everything for the most part I'm happy with. And I wanted to point out though that I have seen a lot of people who have been receiving this figure in the last week or so. I don't know so much about the early Malaysia releases, but the people in the US have had a lot of paint mistake problems. And we all know the Lightning Collection is prone to that, you know, various things here and there. But this one in particular I've seen a lot. Like, it looks like it got a golden shower of paint. Like, it was really bad looking. Like, I was worried about it. And the problem with this guy is he's not only a closed box, but an Amazon exclusive. You're basically buying him like a mail order bride. And so you can't see in the box when you're buying it. And even if he was in stores, it's a closed box. So you're kind of rolling the dice there. So I was relieved that there's like, you see there's a little nick up there, and there's maybe like one here, but nothing super noticeable. I think for the most part, the paint looks good really here. I think the dark gold here looks really nice. It's got this nice shine to it, and it contrasts nicely off the blue. If I had one complaint here, it feels like the blue paint here seems like just in this V is like a really light touch, which seems a little awkward. But this looks really good. The gold logo here of the dog, the SPD, you know, logo there looks pretty nice. It's a little basic, but pretty nice. I mean, I have some nitpicks about it, but for the most part, I was impressed with the way this all looks together. The belt looks a little bit bland. Like, you have this nice gold color here, and then you have this old school Bandai America looking belt here, and then you have the morpher here, which is not painted. You just have the white here, and then this does open up, which is kind of cool, so you can have him posed revving this like he does in the show. And I'm usually not too upset when the morphers have very minimal or no paint, but this one kind of sucks just because that's like his weapon, so it's a little bit more prominent, and usually it's like around the right colors, but his was more of like silver and blue, and they're like, he's white, just paint it white. That was a Hasbro executive, so I don't know. Definitely some nitpicks there. I still always like the little details they do to make it look like actual cloth folding, which is kind of nice. The articulation is your par for the course figure art stuff. You have this hinge here, obviously, and this ball joint, swiveling double elbow joint, swiveling at the fist. You got your knee joint. Look at this knee up here, guys. But you do have a knee joint. You have a double knee joint. But you have a nice ball joint at the leg, and then you have the nice hinge joint here at the foot, and then the waist and chest articulation, and the head and neck articulation. Very well articulated, no loose joint problems or anything like that. So it's definitely not perfect, but I'll get into that more later. That was just kind of an overall look. Now here's some overalls. No, I'm just kidding. So, and the bike I think looks solid too. I do have the old school release from the original SPD line, but I don't know where it is. If I ever do find it at my parents' house, I will do a like small little update maybe where I compare them. But this is definitely an upgrade because it's meant to be more of like a collector's line bike. And I haven't seen if anybody's had any huge problems with theirs having paint mistakes for this, but mine doesn't really have any. I think it looks good. It looks sleek. All the colors look nice for what it is. It's kind of got a nice wheel here, which this holds it down obviously, and then you can take this off so that you can have an accident. Like, it's not like a normal bike. Oh, and that fell off. There we go. That's a good sign. But you can do that so you can wheel it around, but obviously this isn't something that's gonna really stand on its own, or it's not like it's a car. And this fell off because when you get this, you do have to put these in, and I probably just didn't push it in hard enough. But these two are separate pieces, as are the feet pieces here, because they kind of want to save box space. Otherwise, they'd have to have a redonkulous size box to fit the span of this, so you just have to put those on, and it's not a huge deal. And let's have him just kind of briefly on the bike, and then he's like, whee! So that's cool. I think that's neat. Like, I think the idea of them doing the bike is pretty cool, and I don't know if I want to display it with that. It's kind of cool, but I really wasn't that personally all that excited about it, and I'm kind of curious what made them decide to choose this one as the start or the testing waters for any future bike figures. But now, as we always do, let's go ahead and compare this guy to previous releases. As I said, if I find this later, I will compare the releases to it as well. So with this guy, you didn't have a ton to choose from, as he didn't have a Lightning, or he does have a Lightning release, he didn't have a Legacy release, and he didn't get a figure art release, even though the Core 5 Deca Rangers did. So here is the original old school Bandai 2005 figure, and then this is the Action Hero one that came out during the Super Mega Force line. So as you can see, it is the best kind of quote-unquote basic mainline Omega figure you can get. So nitpicks aside, if you're an Omega Ranger or a Deca Break fan, this is the clear choice. You know, these are fun if you like collecting. This one's not bad. This is more fun if you like collecting sort of retro toys and toys through history. But if you want the most accurate, most articulated one, nitpicks aside, this is definitely the best one. Although, this one doesn't even light up with infected ears, so I don't know, like, why would you want this when you can have an ear infection ranger? But so you can see, yeah, it's a definite upgrade, and it doesn't have as many other options as some of them, where you might be able to pick up the figure art or the Legacy version. I almost said Lightning there, that's why I said Legacy, really weird. But overall, I'm happy with this figure. It's not perfect. There's definitely some nitpicks with it, like with the morpher painted. I think the belt doesn't look so hot. But those are all things that I can kind of live with, so long as they paint his visor, which is the problem with Drago Ranger. I keep hating to drag him through the mud, but that kind of drives home my point with these, is that even though they're a collector's line, it's not like it's an $80 figure, so I can live with certain little things, so long as it means you're not missing a big detail. And like I said, I was very relieved about this because he looked really lanky in the press photos, and I was happy that he looks much better in person, and I was also relieved to get one with very minimal paint mistakes, but definitely be wary of that. I can recommend this figure based on my own one that I have. If you're an Omega Ranger fan, it's certainly the best Omega figure that I own, but just be very careful with that, and be prepared to potentially return it if you have some that might bother you. Like I said, mine didn't get it, but based on what I've seen, this has been one of the more problematic ones with the face. Anyway, that's about it for this one, guys. Until next time, like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell with notifications for my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.